Well, today we are here to have a little bit of a deep, in-depth chat about these two Seaxes.
Welcome to Northworthy Sagas and Stories. Please watch our videos and feel free to leave a comment. Please subscribe and also click on the notification bell. Thank you for watching.
So greetings and welcome to the channel. Welcome to Northworthy Sagas and Stories. Now, I'm your host today. I am indeed Bragi, the creator behind this ingenious and clever channel. I do hope you think that way, I do. And what we're here today for? Well, today we are here to have a little bit of a deep, in-depth chat about these two Seaxes, or Seax or Sax, depending on how you pronounce it. In the Anglo-Saxon tongue, it should be pronounced Seax. In the Viking tongue, it will pronounce Sax. So there's a difference between the two languages. Now, one of these is a very large knife, this one here. And I would say in length, I would guess it's about 14 inches in length. That would be 36 centimetres in metric. It's a very nice knife. It's got a very sharp edge. In fact, I got a nasty scar on my hand from that knife. So I'm always careful when I used it. It is not a combat knife, it is a sharp knife. So it's used for crafting. And it's used for cutting bread, cutting meat, or any daily tasks. In fact, I used to use this knife to debark ash handles and shafts of. I used to go out in the woods and cut down hazel or ash, coppers it, bring it back, and then I would use that to debark it because it's very, very sharp. Now, the smaller one, I'll zoom down for this, go and bear with me, is a pattern welded knife. And I do hope the camera is giving justice to the pattern welding. Let's just flick it around, ignore my hand. And you can see again, the pattern welding. Very nice bit of kit. And as I said, this knife used to belong to Egil Thorson, the late and great host we had on the channel, who is very sadly missed. But no doubt is in Valhalla and having a great good time feasting and duelling and spitting out lines of Viking poetry. Now, of course, these two Seaxes are sitting on one of my old shields, which is over 20 years old. This is a very nice shield, but would a shield be effective against a knife like this? Well, a very sharp knife would no doubt dig into the shield. At some point when we get a shield which we don't want to fundamentally use for combat, I'm going to start demonstrating the effectiveness of some of these Dark Age medieval weapons. Now, the larger of the two Seaxes has a lovely handle, and the handle is a bone handle from a leg of a cow. You can always go to your local butcher or a large butcher and ask for, if they've got any cow bones, and they will save them for you. But then you have to leave them out to hang and to bleach, to cure. It also has a very nice bit of decoration here with kind of a diamond double pattern and a ring or a little dot in the middle. And here at the other end with a copper rivet to keep the handle on the knife, because if you're using you're using your Seax, the last thing you want is your Seax to fly off the handle. So having a good rivet on a handle is very essential. Now, the blade itself is a bit, rusty and old. As I said, it's over 20, 30 years old. I don't know. I'd say it's got to be in the 1990s. So it's got to be 30 years old, this Seax. I'm not sure about this. Everyone never told me how old it was. But again, it'll be over 20 years old at least, this pattern welded Seax. And this was actually made by Lynn. He used to be our group leader. And she gave it to Egil. And Egil eventually, kind of ended up giving it to me because he knew I love that sort of thing. And I used to keep it in my pouch, my leather pouch, to demonstrate to the public about pattern welding, which is a whole entire subject. Now, another time I'll weigh these two Seaxes up and see how much they weigh. It's a bit difficult to estimate the blade weight when the handle is attached, but you could probably kind of have a guess minus the weight of the handle. But it would be interesting to know. And I would say the width of this is probably 5 to 6 centimetres, 1.5 inches. It's just slightly taper out. And the other good thing about it is it feels great in the hand. When you got it in the hand, I'm going to move the camera here. You can see a bit of my modern room. It feels great. Now, I've got to be careful at the moment because recently I've had tennis elbow. And really painful, and I'm just getting the ability back to use axes and swords again without being in a lot of pain, which is a whole entire thought process of mine, thinking, well, you know, if you as a Viking or a Saxon warrior, before the battle you get tennis elbow, well, you're screwed because you cannot use your sword arm. You'd have to use a spear instead. But that's a whole entire point and subject. Now, neither of these Seaxes have scabbards. There is a scabbard for this one, but it's too large, as you can see. There's a scabbard. This one used to belong to Turkey, and it's been around my house for years. So at some point I will make a sheath for these. Not a scabbard, this is a sheath. Scabbards always have a solid back, sheath are always a bit flexible, although with the copper banding across this it's not so flexible, and with holding a camera I can't demonstrate that. So going back to this one again, it doesn't have any decoration other than what it is. There's no like copper plate which some Seaxes you'll see here, and there's no decoration on the blade. It's just very simple, and making a sheath for that would be a very small sheath indeed. Oh yes. But how effective are these weapons in battle? Well, to me, a Seaxe is always an extra weapon and not your main weapon. It is one you carry just in case you lose your axe or you lose your sword. So I wouldn't personally use a Seaxe. The only time I'd use a Seaxe is in that situation. If I drop my sword or my sword's broke in battle, which it can do, I suppose, you know, or yeah, I'm using a spear. If I'm using a spear, I definitely want to be using the combination of a spear and with a Seaxe, because it's very effective. And again, you could fundamentally hurt somebody in battle with that, but I think you'd have to be very brave and very stupid. Now, other options for handles, as I think about what to say next, is wood. A wooden handle is just as appropriate and just as good as antler, but antler and bone is just like the plastic of the medieval age, because when they butchered a cow or a deer, they used everything from the hide to the sinew to, you know, everything you could think of. They'll use the brains in food, they'll boil the head up, so nothing gets wasted. So is this one a bit too long? Possibly. I'd say it does look nice when you're wearing it, although you can't wear it with that one because it needs a lot of work, just that sheath. But yeah, and of course it does make you think, oh, have more Seaxes been made today than were back in the medieval times? And I'm going to leave you on that thought, and I may make a poll for that. When were the most Seaxes made in history? During the Viking medieval times, the Saxon times, or during the modern times? Because let's face it, people collect these things now, and I've got quite a few. So goodbye, and a lot of love from me, from Bragi. We'll see you in the next video. I really do hope you enjoyed this video. It's a bit of a impromptu, last minute filming, but I wanted to talk about this subject from a raw point of view rather than script it, because some days you get better thought processes doing that, and let's face it, I've got a lot to say. So leave us a comment, and don't forget to give us a follow. Goodbye.
Welcome to Northworthy Sagas and Stories. Please watch our videos and feel free to leave a comment. Please subscribe and also click on the notification bell. Thank you for watching.